The millionaire investment habit anyone can copy. Have you ever noticed something strange? Two people can earn the exact same salary for 10 years. One ends up stressed, living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the money went. The other quietly builds a six-figure investment portfolio. Same income, same economy, same opportunities, completely different results. Most people think the difference is intelligence, luck, or having some secret investment strategy. But it isn't. In fact, the investment habit that has created more millionaires than almost anything else is so simple that most people ignore it because it doesn't feel exciting, it doesn't make headlines, and it definitely won't make you rich overnight. Yet this one habit quietly compounds into extraordinary wealth. Today, we're going to uncover the millionaire investment habit that almost anyone can copy and why your brain naturally wants to avoid it. Let's begin. Imagine two friends, Alex and Ben. Both graduate from college at 24. Both get jobs paying $60,000 a year. They rent similar apartments, drive similar cars, hang out together every weekend. If you looked at their lives, you'd assume they'll have similar financial futures. But 10 years later, something surprising happens. Alex has built a portfolio worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ben has almost nothing invested. What happened? Did Alex discover the perfect stock? Did he start a successful company? Did he inherit money? No. The difference came down to one small habit repeated over and over again. Every month, no matter what was happening in the news, Alex invested part of his paycheck before doing anything else. Ben waited until the end of the month to invest whatever money was left. Most months, there wasn't much left. This tiny difference seems insignificant, but it's actually one of the biggest psychological differences between people who build wealth and those who don't. Here's why. Your brain loves immediate rewards. If someone offers you $50 today, many people choose today's money. Psychologists call this present bias. Our brains naturally value immediate pleasure more than future rewards. This made sense thousands of years ago. Food today meant survival. Every payday feels like an opportunity to improve your life immediately. A new phone, better clothes, ordering food instead of cooking. Each decision feels small, but every dollar spent today is a dollar that can never compound for decades. Millionaires understand something that most people don't. Investing isn't mainly about finding the highest returns. It's about consistently giving your future self a chance to grow. Think about planting trees. If you plant one tree today, nothing exciting happens tomorrow. A week later, still nothing impressive. Even a year later, it doesn't look life-changing. But 20 years later, that tiny tree has become something massive. Investing works exactly the same way. The first few months are boring. The first few years feel slow. Then something incredible happens. Your investments begin working harder than you do. This is where many people quit too early. Imagine pushing a giant flywheel. At first, it barely moves. You push again. Still slow. Again. Each push feels like it accomplishes almost nothing. But eventually, the wheel gains momentum. Now, every push creates more movement than before. Investing behaves exactly like that flywheel. The beginning feels frustrating. The middle feels encouraging. The later years feel almost magical. But only for people who kept pushing. Now, here's the habit that ties everything together. Millionaires automate investing. That's it. It sounds almost too simple. Instead of deciding every month whether to invest, they remove the decision entirely. Money automatically leaves their paycheck or bank account and goes into investments before they have the chance to spend it. Why does this matter so much? Because willpower is unreliable. Have you ever promised yourself you'll start eating healthier next Monday? Or begin exercising next month? Maybe you'll finally stick to a budget after your next paycheck. We all make these promises. But when the moment arrives, life happens. Unexpected bills, friends invite us out, sales appear online. Something always seems more urgent. Millionaires know something powerful. Systems beat motivation. A motivated person might invest 3 months in a row. A person with an automatic system invests for 30 years. Which one do you think ends up wealthier? There's another psychological trick happening here. Every decision drains mental energy. Scientists often call this decision fatigue. By the end of the day, your brain becomes worse at making good choices. If investing requires making another decision every month, eventually you'll skip it. Not because you're lazy, because you're human. Automation eliminates this problem. No decision, no debate, no excuses, just consistent investing. Now let's talk about another mistake that keeps people from copying this habit. People think they need a lot of money to begin. so they wait. I'll start investing after I get a raise. I'll start after I pay off this bill. I'll start next year. I'll start when I have $1,000. The problem is, there's always another reason to wait. Millionaires rarely begin with large investments. They begin with consistent ones. Imagine filling a bucket with drops of water. One drop doesn't seem important, neither does the second, or the 100th. But eventually, the bucket becomes full. Wealth grows the same way, not through one giant decision, through thousands of tiny ones. Let's make this even more relatable. Imagine buying coffee every weekday. $5 doesn't seem expensive. It's just coffee. But imagine taking part of that spending and investing it consistently instead. You're not just giving up coffee. You're buying future freedom. You're purchasing options. You're buying time. Money invested today isn't simply money. It's future choices, the ability to work less, travel more, help your family, handle emergencies without panic. That's why wealthy people often view investing differently. They don't see money leaving their account. They see money changing jobs. Instead of working for today's happiness, it's now working for tomorrow's freedom. This mindset changes everything. Most people ask, what can I buy with this money? Millionaires often ask, what could this money become? That's an entirely different question. One focuses on consumption. The other focuses on growth. Neither feels dramatic in a single moment. But over decades, the difference becomes enormous. Here's another interesting observation. The richest investors in history didn't necessarily invest perfectly. Many simply avoided making emotional decisions. When markets went down, they didn't panic. When markets went up, they didn't become overconfident. They stayed consistent. Think of investing like driving through weather. Some days are sunny, some days it's raining. Occasionally, there's a storm. You don't abandon the journey because the weather changes. You keep driving. Markets work similarly. They rise, they fall, they recover. The people who reach their destination usually aren't the fastest. They're the ones who keep going. Consistency beats intensity. This lesson applies far beyond investing. People who become fit don't rely on one perfect workout. They rely on hundreds of average workouts. Great writers don't create masterpieces overnight. They write consistently. Strong relationships aren't built from one grand gesture. They're built from small daily actions. Wealth follows the same pattern. Small actions, repeated consistently over long periods. This idea feels almost disappointing because our brains love exciting stories. We want the secret stock, the perfect crypto, the overnight millionaire. But real wealth usually grows quietly, slowly, almost invisibly, until one day people call it luck. In reality, they simply didn't witness the years of consistency behind it. So what should you take away from all this? Don't spend your energy searching for magical investments. Instead, build a habit that's almost impossible to break. Choose an amount you can comfortably invest every month. Automate it. Treat it like paying your future self first. Then let time do what it has always done. Grow small actions into extraordinary results. Remember, the goal isn't to become rich next month. The goal is to become the kind of person who invests regardless of headlines, emotions, or temporary setbacks. Because once that identity becomes part of who you are, wealth becomes a byproduct. Here's the truth that surprises most people. Millionaires don't usually win because they know something nobody else knows. They win because they consistently do something almost everyone else knows they should do, but rarely sticks with. And that's why this investment habit is so powerful. It doesn't require a finance degree. It doesn't require perfect timing. It doesn't require predicting the future. It only requires consistency. Every paycheck is a choice. You can spend all of it on making today slightly better, or you can allow a small part of it to quietly build a better tomorrow. One decision feels rewarding immediately. The other barely feels noticeable. But years from now, those tiny decisions won't look tiny anymore. They'll tell the story of the life you built. The millionaire investment habit isn't hidden. It isn't complicated. And it isn't reserved for the wealthy. It's simply the habit of investing consistently, automatically, and patiently, long enough for time to become your greatest financial partner. The best part? You don't need to wait until you're rich to start acting like a millionaire. You only need to copy the habit that helps